Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to my house. This is Nina, and this is a day in the life of how I eat my macroed out meals. All right, guys, so the big thing that we need to understand is macronutrients stands for macros, which macros are proteins, fats, carbohydrates, and then there's a fourth one which some of you might be concerned with, and that's alcohol. But for today, what I want to focus on is helping it make it clear as to what foods are proteins, what foods are fats, what foods are carbohydrates. So laid out in front of me are all of the proteins, fats, and carbs that I eat on a daily basis. A big question that I have is, or I get all the time is peanut butter a protein or a fat? Well, one way that you can kind of make that decision is look at the food label, and whatever macronutrients in that item is the largest, that is what that food is. So a lot of people think that peanut butter is a good source of protein. It's actually a source of fat. So one of the biggest problems that people have is like, oh, I'm eating a lot of protein, I have a lot of peanut butter. Well, you're actually eating a shit ton of fat as well. So you guys need to understand what foods are proteins, what foods are fats, and what foods are carbs, because I'm getting a lot of questions and requests of how do I get more protein. So I'm gonna actually macro out every single meal that I eat for you guys with the foods that I have laid out in front of me. So to help hopefully give you guys a better understanding on what to eat to help you guys hit each macro by the end of each day. So in front of me, we'll go over some basic proteins that I have. Protein shakes, we can get these from Costco, UR. Egg whites is a really easy way for you guys to add them to smoothies, to add them to your actual eggs. Eggs can go kind of both ways because they do have a decent amount of fat in them. So if you do like one egg and then an egg white or two, that makes it more of a protein source than a fat source. Greek yogurt is a great protein source. I have some barbecue chicken, shrimp, really lean ground turkey, since most of us have lower fat diets. Turkey breast slices, or even just kind of any slices from the deli, is a really easy way for you kind of just munch on meats or proteins for snacks. And then I of course have an egg made, because I'm going to show that to you guys later on how I macro out my breakfast. Like you guys, my fats are fairly low, so my fats that I have are in nuts. So I have a mixed nuts there with some cashews, some peanuts, some almonds, and some walnuts. And then I love avocados, and it's an easy way to get kind of some texture to your food, because a lot of the chicken that you make on Sunday is pretty dry by Wednesday. So if you have a little bit of avocado slice on top of it, it does add a nice creamy texture to it. And then the carbs that I have are, as you guys can see, are fairly whole foods based. A lot of you guys can have white rice, can have brown rice, you guys can have tortillas, you can have white potatoes. I choose sweet potatoes, and I just popped these in the air fryer this morning. They're really good that way. So, I mean, you can have them with chili, you can have them with burgers, you can have them, like I have them with my breakfast. So I love fries, and this is kind of an easy way for me to cheat and get a whole food fry in my diet. So bananas with my yogurts, berries, apples, dried fruits I have as part of my snack. Lots of broccoli and cauliflower and celery and carrots we eat in our diet. And then of course, spring mix. This is a huge staple for almost every meal that I have. And then tomatoes is just kind of when I need some extra carbohydrates. I just kind of add 1 or 2 cherry tomatoes to kind of hit that carb goal for the day. So this is kind of my staple in my diet every single week. It doesn't really change much. I might change the recipes up a bit. If you guys need ideas, email me. I have 12-week recipe book that I made for 2 years, our challenge 2 years ago. Just email me. I don't know how many recipes are in there. I think it's like over 100 pages. So there should be no excuses on you guys being able to macro out your meals or come up with healthy macroed out options. So we are going to talk about the 2 different ways that I would like you guys to focus on for this challenge and how to macro out your meals in the next segment. So before you even start measuring out anything that goes on your plate, what I want you guys to do is get your meals in MyFitnessPal either the night before or a few days before. This helps me hit my macros at the end of every single day, and I'm not left with playing macro Tetris at the end of the day. So you'll see this is my food diary for yesterday. And I'll show you how I macroed out my fajitas that I made yesterday, but this also helps me make a grocery list on Saturdays and Sundays whenever we go to the grocery store and we prepare our food for the whole week. So I know exactly what's going to go on my plate on Monday and Tuesday, even a couple days ahead. So what I have here is I've labeled out my meals as to what my breakdown should be for fats, carbs, and proteins, because I usually work out in the morning, so I want to surround my carbohydrates before and after my workout. So that's why you're going to see these numbers change a little bit. You can do that in your settings in your MyFitnessPal diary if you want to. It's not recommended, but it helps me hit my targets for each meal, and then at the end of it, which you'll see at the end of the day, I'll be pretty close to my macros. So my breakfast consists of an egg, berries, spring mix. I do have protein in my coffee to help hit that protein goal for that meal, and then I have sweet potatoes, and so you can see the breakdown here. So as we go, yesterday for lunch I had fajitas with diced tomatoes, peppers, more spring mix, sweet potatoes, and grilled chicken. And so you can see here that there's ounces, there's grams, there's cups, and I'll show you exactly how to measure those out in the next segment. But as we go down, you see I have my snack, my broccoli, my dinner, my chicken. I did not have a Bangarang bowl yesterday because I was really close on my numbers and I didn't have any macros left over. So if you do this, you set yourself up for success, and I always want you guys to be within 10 grams of carbs and protein and 5 grams of fat. If you go over on carbs and protein, you're not going over by that many calories, but if you consistently go over on fats have 9 calories per gram, whereas carbs and protein have 4. So if you go over on fats consistently, you're eating more calories than what you think you are. So that's why I say I want you guys to have be within 10 grams of that carbs and protein range and within 5 grams of that fat range, just because fats are just a little bit more dense as far as calories go compared to proteins and carbohydrates. And it's really hard for you guys to hit your protein goal anyways. You see I had 1 gram left over, 4 grams of fats left over, and then 6 grams of carbohydrates left over. So if I measure everything out and I don't eat anything else, I am really close on my macros. And if I do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I know I'm getting around that 1,200 calorie range, because they say that food labels are allowed to be off by 20%, and that's huge. So if food labels off by 20% and you're overeating on proteins, fats, and carbs, you're eating way more calories than what you really think. So it's even more important to get this stuff in your MyFitnessPal, in your diary, before you even put anything in your mouth or anything on your plate. All right, guys, so now that you have everything in MyFitnessPal, you know exactly what needs to go on your plate. So I'm literally gonna measure everything out, all my meals for you right now on live TV. So one thing to pro tip, peanut butter, honey, protein powder, measure it out, okay? I did a little video earlier that last year where 1 scoop of this is not really 1 scoop. It's about 75% of a scoop. So when you do put your protein powder in your shaker cup, actually measure out the 35 grams of whatever protein you're using. Like I know the cereal milk is 35 grams. I think the salted caramel is 38 grams. So you want to actually measure out the actual amount on a scale to get your 24 grams of protein or whatever you need out of this scoop. So that's a huge pro tip for you guys that you guys didn't realize. And come on, who eats 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, right? So actually measure out the grams for peanut butter, actually measure out the grams for honey, nuts, things like that. That's gonna prevent you from going over on those calories for those items. So breakfast, I need 1 egg. Here's my 1 egg, I already cooked it. Berries, I need a 1/2 cup of berries. So take my berries, I just leave the measuring cup in there, and I take 1 scoop, put it, it's a 1/2 cup, put it on the plate, there are my berries, right? Greens are kind of free. I mean, they're a lot of fiber, so a lot of my carbohydrates do come from greens. So yeah, I'm pretty meticulous about measuring them out, but don't be too worried about going over on greens, broccoli, lettuce, things like that, because you essentially just poop them out and your body doesn't absorb them. Spring mix, a cup of spring mix. Now, I don't necessarily measure out a cup of spring mix. I do a handful. And so this is gonna go to the hand method that I talked about, or that I'm gonna talk about. So there's two ways that you can measure. We talked about, everybody knows the scale, but you use your palm. This essentially is how much protein you need. This is essentially about how much carbohydrates you need, which equates to about a cup. If you have 2 fists, that's 2 cups. So I essentially just take a handful of broccoli, lettuce, spinach, whatever greens I have, and put it on my plate, and I know that's gonna be about a cup. And so when you go out to restaurants, you can use the hand method. So a palm size is your protein, a fist size should be your carbohydrates, so your rice, your potatoes, French fries, whatever. Try to aim for 2 fistfuls of vegetables, and then if you do have a fat, it's gonna be about the size of your thumb. So for things like that, that's a really easy way for you guys to portion control and measure out your stuff, so you don't have to carry your scale in your purse when you go to a restaurant. That's kind of dumb, right? So I need a half of packet of my UR recovery, okay? So half of 36 grams is, what is that? 17, 18 grams. So I'm gonna open up my protein. I'm gonna get my shaker cup. I'm gonna turn on my scale. Make sure it's set to grams, because scales do have gram settings and ounce settings, so make sure you're set to grams. Put my cup on there, zero it out, and I'm going to actually measure out 16 grams of protein. Okay, that's 9, or whatever it is, 16, 17, 18, there it is. Okay, this essentially goes in my coffee for my breakfast. And then I need 130 grams of my sweet potatoes. Okay, so I'm gonna zero out the scale, get my sweet potato fries out, and add these little wedges till I get to my 130 gram mark. Okay, those are my sweet potatoes. Those go on my plate. That's my breakfast. Can't be any simpler. Okay, now I know a lot of you guys have questions about, like, hey Nina, I make a recipe and I want to macro it out. Okay, great. So I made fajitas yesterday. And so we had chicken in there, we had peppers in there, we had onions in there. And so we just put it in a giant vat so we can have it all week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to actually measure out every single ingredient in here. Okay, so I need 50 grams, oh no, sorry. I need 4 ounces of bell peppers. So I'm going to zero that out, change it over to ounces, zero it out, take my fork, and here we go. Pick out all the peppers. We got red peppers, we got green peppers, we got yellow peppers in here. All right, I'm at 1 ounce. Okay, boom. There's a big giant green one. Now, if you wanted to do this and just have the peppers separated from the juice and the chicken, you absolutely could, but I like leaving it in the juice because it gives it some taste and texture and it's not so dry the next day. Let's see, I'm at 3.2, 3.65, that's close. Boom, there it is. Okay, now I need 2.5 ounces of chicken. Okay, let me zero that out. Perfect. Now we scoop out the pieces of chicken on there. 1/2 ounce. 0.81. Again, if you guys need recipes, I have a recipe book. Nobody should be sitting there trying to Google recipes or macro-friendly recipes. I have them already made. 2.26. Let's see, I need another 1/4 ounce. There it is. Okay. Another 130 grams of sweet potatoes. So I'm going to zero out the scale. Always zero out the scale. That's a mistake that you guys will make early on. Okay, and then get more sweet potatoes out. I know it's about 5 or 6 big wedges. There it is. Okay, and if you're close, that's fine. And then 2 cups of spring mix. So again, lettuce is kind of free. So remember I said 1 fist is a cup. So here is 1 cup. 2 cups of lettuce. Can't be any easier than that. Okay, so this is essentially what my lunch would be. And now if I wanted to replace these sweet potatoes with a tortilla, I absolutely would be able to do that. I would just need to make sure that I eat the tortilla amount that I need. So sometimes it's a tortilla and a half, sometimes it's 2 tortillas. If you want to make it easy, you can have those 2 tortillas and then just backload the carbs for breakfast and dinner. So you'll have less carbs for those meals. So you can have those 2 full tortillas with my fajitas. Okay, but I'm just trying to keep it nice and clean. So I'm gonna go with sweet potatoes instead of tortillas for this go round. Next is gonna be my snack. So when you guys put your stuff in MyFitnessPal, you're gonna see, like I said, a lot of different options. You wanna make sure that you have the option, when you have an apple, for example, there's gonna be 400 different options for apples. Try to select the one that has the green check mark because that was certified and verified by MyFitnessPal itself. You guys probably realize that you guys can put in quick ads or your own nutrition information for items. And so a lot of times people enter in that stuff incorrectly. So if enough of you guys go in there and verify the nutrition facts for items, that's how those things get a green check mark. So right now I'm gonna do 100 grams of an apple. So put my thing on the scale, zero it out, get my apple, cut it up, and start adding slices. 28 grams, 44 grams, 70, 96. Sliver is gonna get me there. Boom, it is. Okay, and I cheated because I buy smaller apples, so I know that's about 100 grams. My protein shake that I got from Costco, this is already entered in, so it is what it is. For you guys that don't know, there is a barcode option on MyFitnessPal where all you do is you scan the barcode and it automatically uploads for you in the app, so you don't have to do anything else. So a lot of the items, UR's in there as well, so a lot of the protein bars and things, you can just scan the barcode and it pops in right in your diary, so it's super simple. You don't have to do a quick ad or anything. So I already entered that in, and then mixed nuts, I need 1 ounce of mixed nuts. So I'm gonna zero out my scale, change it on over to ounces, and measure out my 1 ounce of nuts. Half an ounce, 0.7, 0.99. I get a half of a peanut. There it is. Okay. You guys will learn too how much is an ounce of a certain item. I know that 1 ounce of nuts is 2 tablespoons, so that's why I put that exact amount in my fancy little measuring cup. So essentially, this is how I measure out all my meals. On Sundays, we do cook all of this stuff, and then the night before we get all of this stuff out, we get our scale out, and we do fill all of our Tupperwares ready to go. So we just in the morning we grab and go, and everything is macroed out, measured out for myself. It's measured out for Eric, so he's got his own set of macros to follow. So this is kind of easy to do. You can cook in bulk for your family as long as you just measure out your portion. You can keep everything on track and on point. So a lot of people are like, well, my kids won't eat this way and blah, blah, blah. Well, you can't use that as an excuse. You can essentially cook anything. That's the beauty about macros is you're not restricting any foods. You just have to make sure you eat the right amount. So you can make cheeseburgers, you can make pizza, you can make spaghetti and meatballs, you can make the easy family-friendly meals. You just have to make sure that you're eating the correct portion sizes for you for your goals, for your proteins, fats, and carb needs. So we do this every night before we go to bed, and we make sure we set us up nicely for the next day, because you have your meals, they're all set, and that's what you can eat. And if you don't eat anything else, you should be able to hit your diet goals here in the next 3 months. If you have any questions, let me know, nina@be-complete.net. I hope this helps you. It's not really that sexy of a way to do it. It takes a little bit of preparation and meal prep, but if this is important to you, you guys will do this. And honestly, it frees up the rest of our week. We just do it on Sunday nights, and we don't have to worry about what we're gonna eat the rest of the week. So let me know if you guys have any questions. Nina@be-complete.net, and get after it. Let's hit these macros.